All right. Can everyone hear me? Can everyone see me? Let me know in the comments. Cool. All right, just testing first and checking if I'm on LinkedIn and on YouTube. I know I'm on YouTube. Let me know if anyone is on LinkedIn Live. Drop in a comment. Let me know where you are calling from. All right, where you joining from? Let me know. Sure. Cool. Awesome. All right. So let me kind of get started. Cool. So what I want to kind of share today is, as you know, the theme of today's AMA. And again, if you have questions, feel free to drop it in along on YouTube or on LinkedIn. Anytime you have a question, just drop it in. All right. Cool. We'll answer after I kind of give this short intro, and so that I can set up a bit more context as well as at the same time give you a bit more time to ask your questions. All right. Cool. And if so let me kind of get started. So today's session is about if you feel invisible and if you feel in your UX career right now, the whole goal here is to help you to get interviews by Christmas. Okay, and so in this 90 minutes of AMA session that I'm putting out live for you, yeah, I want you to start feeling visible again and get noticed. All right. So a little about myself. I'm Joseph. I help experienced product designers and UX designers like yourself to land your next UX meaningful and high-paying role. The role that should, at least feels and pays well for you, right? And it feels right for you and lets you to do the work that you are proud to do. And trying to give you a brief kind of outlook and timeline of my career so far, I've started in my background in industrial design back in 2012. I was a product designer, where the term product designer actually means physical products. Where I've designed for retail spaces to furniture to uh, consumer electronic products to transportations, etc., packaging design, exhibition design, and all. I also started up my own design studio, but I failed and lost about 5 figures of income in it as well. But then after that, about 2 years later, I went over to becoming a lecturer at a place called Neon Polytechnic, and it was one of my dream jobs as well. I really loved it. And after that, I decided to move over to join PBS Bank as a design coach because I felt that what we are teaching the students in school, I feel like the world and the design industry has been evolving so fast, and so rapidly that I want to help myself out of it and yeah, get a bit more updated, and so that I can bring those knowledge and insights and lessons and stories back into the classroom as well. And when I joined TBS Bank, we are looking at something that was really at the fault and the pioneer at the bleeding edge because we're looking at employee experience and how do we shift the employee experience in the bank. And one of the projects we were working on was the future of meetings and how people meet on a day-to-day basis and how do we transform cultures. After that, we should kind of look at transformation design. After that, I went over to join as a design manager at Income, one of the insurance company here in Singapore, and kind of relooking at our microinsurance app to join a corporate venture in the company as well, and looking at designing from B2B software, B2C software. So it's pretty exciting as well. And then from there, I moved over to join as a head of product design at Contact Hub, where we design for millions of recruiters in terms of sourcing too. So yeah, again, me and my team, we get to interview hundreds of recruiters, every single time when we do our research and surveys, and we kind of see in terms of how recruiters source and find candidates because they have likely be using one of our tools now as well. So that's great. It gives me a lot of insights, and one of the reasons why I joined them was because I want to kind of get an inside look of how recruiting, hiring actually works as well. At the same time, on the side, I also joined as a design lecturer, lectured in the university, and a founder myself. Right, and now I started career creators over here. Cool. So Let me just bring over this one. All right. So why I'm kind of doing this, and my mission is really simple, right? It's about really helping UX product designers like yourself to play a different game, right? And play the instead of the front door game, play the back door game, where you start to not chase opportunities and instead create them. And because for my like many of you, I have my career has never been in a straight line myself. I've gone through a lot of seasons of burnouts, confusions, and sometimes you're wondering if the work that I do matters at all. And I spent 15 years across my career, as I shared with you, leading product design teams, hiring designers across different levels, and so helping them to go from junior to senior designers or lead level designers. I've taught design at universities, the world leading universities as well. I also became, a leading top voice, showing exactly how people can get hired, especially in today's tough market. And I think what I saw over and over again is that brilliant, smart, talented designers just get stuck in their career, in their job search, feeling invisible. They send out, you guys have sent out hundreds, if not thousands of application, updating your portfolio so many, many times, countless of times, and not seeing any tractions of movement at all. So my mission is very simple, is to really help you to play a different game. Instead of the front door game, play the back door game. And yeah, and that's what I'm here. Cool. Again, you have questions, feel free to drop it in. All right. Cool. So get it, right? And I was exactly where you were, and I know exactly how it feels to feel like you're doing everything right and getting nowhere. Because for me, back then when I graduated, I was the top of my class. I was a scholar. I got multiple design awards, international design awards. I was featured on our newspapers as well as both foreign and so local newspaper. And I've updated my portfolio for so many times and resumes for so many times. I studied hundreds of resumes and portfolios for designers, keep revising them, still getting rejection, and just keep reading this process. And it feels like, is there something wrong with me? You know, because I was really broke, I was tired, I was really ready to give up, and it's wondering, hey, is design still right for me? But I couldn't give up because of my parents, right? Because I don't come from a place of connections. I come from a low income. Both my parents are wheelchair users, both are differently abled. So from a young age, me and my siblings, we really had to be very independent and kind of look after ourselves and study really hard so that we can get hopefully good paying jobs so that we can provide for our family. And so it's very important for me. And watching my parents kind of fight through life and just kind of go through all of these obstacles has taught me more than any degree has ever done. And 6 months into my job search process of just countless getting rejections, I met a recruiter called Lisa, and she sent me a message. And because back then, sometimes like she just started her recruitment agency here in Singapore, and I was one of her first few talents that she reached out to. And yeah, I was again very introverted, and I didn't know what to say. And she said that, hey, we're doing a small little networking night, and a few hiring managers will be there. Love for you to pop by. And honestly, I didn't want to go. Again, like I said, I was super introvert. If there ever a networking event or a room, I always be the one in the corner, just hiding away and just waiting for someone to approach me. And I didn't know what to say. I didn't know what to wear. I didn't know what to do. But I thought that, hey, I already went through 6 months of this rejection, what's one more night of rejection, if there is any, and decided to just give it a try. And so I did. I went over, it was a small little bar in Club Street here in Singapore. Warm nights, I had a couple of beers, which I really, really needed because I needed that liquid courage. And Lisa introduced me to two of the hiring managers, Andrew and Yuno. Andrew is from South Africa and Yuno is from Brazil. And they came from this company called Barrows. And we ended up talking a lot about travel, about family, about life, about careers, and not too much about design per se, nothing about work. And what is interesting is that, a couple of nights, next day, I received a message that, hey, the team, Lisa herself, and the team really enjoyed chatting with me, and I had kind of created a strong impression on them. And what I noticed is that, a couple of days later, they send me an invitation to come to the office and or chat, right, or interview, and kind of walking through my portfolio with them. And then a couple of days later, I had a chat with their creative director in South Africa through a Zoom call. And then a few days later, which is exactly from start, or a week later, they had a chat with the NT managing director, and I got an offer, which is great because like for so many months I have been ghosted, I've been rejected. It's just this one night changed everything for me because I didn't apply for this role. I just connected with the people there and it helped open the door. So that's when it really hit me that hey, people hire people, not resumes, not your portfolio, not your cover letter. And I just what I want to kind of bring true to you. And hey, Nada, thanks for sharing. Yeah. So yeah, every dream job that I've landed along the way came through people, came through connection, came through a request like that. Be it from the one at DBS to the one at Income to the one at Contact Out, my last role as a head product designer, all came through people, not through a job posting. So I want you to drop people in the chat if you believe that finding the right connection, not application, creates the best opportunity for you, so that you can understand and you realize this insight for you, right? Because once you kind of start seeing this little shift in your career, and like myself, how I did it, you start to see there's actually a lot of possibility, and then you start to see that hey, there is a different game that we should be playing as well, right? Because I want to tell you it's that it's not you. It's the system that we have been taught, that we have been put in, we have been placed in, that is working against us, right? Because you have polished your resume, your portfolio for the 37, 57, 67 time, and 67, and you have applied and waited, and you hear nothing. And I want to say that it's not your fault because it's just the system itself has been set up to reward the companies itself, the ATS boards and the job boards, because that is their business, right? That's the revenue. And more that people apply, the more candidates apply, the data that they get, the companies that pay them money, they get richer. So why not kind of get you in that loop, right? But what I kind of realized is that 70% of the jobs are never reposted online. It's all through people, through your network and connection, right? So you can't play and you can't win a game that you have not been invited to play. This is where I want to invite you to play this game because I want you to get out of this applying goals and repeat sequence and start kind of like getting into the backdoor game. And here's what it looks like because the hiring game itself is rigged and it's not the way that you think it is, right? Because a lot of folks are coming through the front door, which you are applying online. And I kind of like to think about it as like a club, right? A party or club that you're going into. There is the front door where everyone's applying online, the main queue. Everyone's crowded there. There's a long queue that goes around the block. And at the same time, there's also a VIP queue where people are getting into it and they are maybe they have some connection and that's why they can get into a sparse lane, but they're still stuck in the main door by the bouncer, which you can't think about it. Maybe it's an ATS or a recruiter or a headhunter. They're still at the kind of their job is to filter people, right? Nothing wrong with that. That is their job to do. And the thing is that, hey, by the time you have applied, what I want to kind of let you know is that sometimes the decision is already half made by the hiring manager, where you have seen the jobs posted and you have 100 people, 1,000 people who have viewed it, right? And typically that you see on LinkedIn. But basically, the number of people that they show is the number of people who click on the button, right? And maybe end of the day, maybe not all apply. Maybe if 1,000 people have applied, viewed for that job description, maybe 30% of them apply, right? 200 apply, and 10 get interviewed, but only one get hired. So, but the key thing is that hey, some of the decisions, the hiring decision, is actually made not through these 10 people that's interviewed or not through the 300 people that's applied. So through another source, right? Because I've experienced that when I've got hired before even the job description has been posted online. So I really kind of know like how actually hiring works. So what I'm going to invite you then is there is a back door at the back of the club where you want to get invited to. There's no queues at all. And the goal for us is then how to build up that network and build up that trust so that we can get invited in. Because here's how hiring actually works. And this is what I call the hide and seek pyramid, right? where basically there's a pyramid here. There's just two things that the hiring manager is looking out for, which is cost and risk, right? We go for the lowest cost and the lowest risk to the one that is the highest cost and the highest risk, right? So let me start from the top. So we first start with the internal candidates. The internal candidates here, let me see if I can, oops, no worries. So I got the internal candidates on the top, right? And these are people, typically if I have a job role, I will just post the job inside our intranet, and people from the other teams will can get invited, which is great because I don't have to pay them too much of a cost. It's just transferring of the department and the team. And these are folks that already know the team, the mission, vision, purpose, the stakeholders, the users, the processes of the company, which is great, right? They're already bought in anyway. The second level is the internal referrals. And these are folks that, if I got a role open, I'll just ask my India team, hey, who are one or two, three people that you think would be awesome to work with? Love for you to refer them in or introduce them to me. And because the trust has really been built with the people, my direct team, and I trust them a lot, and that's why I hire them. It's kind of like a friend of a friend, right? If you introduce me to your friend, I will have this unspoken bond of trust, right? Because that authority and the trust is being borrowed. So it's similar if my teammates and my team members, they feel like, hey, this other person is a great fit, introduce, it will be definitely a shortlist. Then follow down, there's called the external referrals, and these external referrals basically are folks that through my own network as a design leader, through my LinkedIn, through my WhatsApp groups, through my network, I will just ask out if, hey, if you know anyone, I have this role open, who you think would be a good fit, introduce me in. The next one is called a talent pipeline. Talent pipeline is then something where, I've hired for previous roles before and not everyone gets selected, not everyone get an offer, but I've vetted through those profiles. I've interviewed some of those. They've taken design challenges or they have made it all the way to the final round but didn't get an offer. And some of them, maybe it's not the right time for them to make the move. There are many different reasons. And there's a group of people that I really spend time and money on. And because they're good and better, I put in my ATS, my applicant tracking system. And next time that I have a job opening, I'll just send them an email blast and say, hey, I've got this opportunity. Will you be interested? Will you be keen? All right. If there is, great, because I already spend those resources and effort on that. Then finally, I'll go into the recruitment agencies, right? The recruitment agencies and headhunters, they are very good at what they do. They are good at sourcing for talent, right? Especially in very niche areas and very specific requirements and for very specific job titles, like head or levels, right? Head of product design, directors, VPs, CPOs, CDOs, all the way down to maybe a senior level or founding designer. These are great people that really are skilled in what they do. But the thing is that I have to pay them 15 to 25% of placement fee for the first annual salary of the talent or for the candidate, for the designer. So what it means, if you are earning and pulling in a 200K salary to learn it, then I pay you anywhere. I have to pay the recruitment agency 30K to 50K. Right? That's a significant amount of money, and my hope as a hard manager is that this talent stays as long as they possibly could, so that I can, make some return of my investment, right? Especially for the company as well. So it's good, but it definitely is very costly. Right? And then finally, I'm moving into the job boards over here, right? And let me see if I missed some slides. Yeah, I'm moving to the job boards over here. And this is where I post on LinkedIn, Indeed, etc. And the cost really right here is that one, I even just posting on it, I have to boost that job post every single day to get more reach. That's how they make money. Or I have to promote it, feature it, and that's how the job post makes money. Plus, I have to spend a lot more time and effort through my TA, my talent acquisition partner, and myself and my team to vet through, interview, and look through all this. That takes our own time as well. So that costs a lot of time and money because there's a lot of risks involved because I do not know these people, there's no trust built, and I have to vet through them. So there's a lot of work that's been done going through that. And it's also high risk for us. But that's where most people enter, right? And then finally is campus recruitment. So if you're any of the big companies, they will run campus recruitment campaigns and events on the campuses, and that costs a bit of money, but that's where we need to get very fresh talents as well. So what I kind of share is how the hiring manager hires is very different and almost the opposite, direct opposite of how a job seeker like yourself seeks for a job, right? Because we go for the lowest risk, the lowest cost option, where job seekers, typically they will go through the front door, and this is where the visible job market is. Nothing wrong. This is where the most is what we've been taught, right? To kind of go through it. But I want to kind of share you, this is where the hidden job market is, and this is where majority of the job lies and opportunities. Some of the job are not formed yet. Some are still brewing in the minds of the hiring managers. Some are there. It's just they don't have the time to push it out, or just hidden within. They prefer to hire within their own network as well. So then the goal here is to enter through the back door. And the back door is what I call the referrals, the backdoor referrals, through the internal referrals, or at least through the external referrals. Right? So then the question is that, hey, enter or get invited through the back door. This is where I have the 3-hour job search system that helps to reduce the hiring risk for you and hiring manager, as well as to increase that trust. And this is the 3-hour job search system, where it's designed to help you to be visible, viable, and valuable to the hiring managers at your dream company. Right? So I'll kind of go through in detail. So here's the goal that we all want: to be visible and in demand for the type of roles that we love and get paid well. But we can only do this by sparking curious conversation with folks inside of companies without spending our resumes and our portfolios. In order to do that, we need these 3 outcomes, or just 3 key outcomes, which is being visible for the right roles, and to the right people in the right companies, to be viable, to present ourselves as the least riskiest option and the most viable choice, and the obvious choice, as well as to be valuable, right? To try and showcase our value, our skills, our problem-solving skills, etc. Because when we have all 3, then we really stop chasing for jobs, and we can then start choosing. Okay. So, but unfortunately, there are the 3 key challenges that you face as a job seeker. All right. Number 1 is closed door. You don't have any network. You don't have any of these opportunities presented to you. You don't have people, etc. So, like, how do I start building those relationships? 2, you don't have proof. A lot of the proof that you have, especially if you're looking to change to a different industry and different career or different role, you do not have the achievement or the relevant experience, right, for it. Or if you do, a lot of the work that you have in your portfolio case study is all past work. So whatever you have in your resume, your portfolio, it's all past different companies. So as a hiring manager, when we kind of look at it, it's we have tried to make the best decision, right? But if you can show me very relevant case study and proof of work that you have achieved something before to solve the problem that I have at hand to get solved, because that's why I open up a role, then it makes it a lot easier. But most cases, people do not have proof. And the last one is staying invisible, right? You're staying ghosted. You're just another one of thousands of candidates, and it's very tough in it, right? Because we want to kind of stuff up. So we need to solve all together to get out of the no response, no network. And this is where the triple comes in, where you want to kind of focus on to these 3 problems, right? So the first one is to counter the closed door, we need to start opening the doors up for us, right? And in order to have when you've got no proof, you want to start showing proof and evidence that, hey, we are a great fit for you and we're a least risky option. Right? And for staying invisible, you want to start getting noticed. And how we kind of do that is, then this is where the 3-hour job search system comes in, where in terms of opening doors, we want to first identify the 10 dream companies that aligns with us to the type of work that we want to do, like to do, prefer to do, and good at doing. Plus, also we align with their vision, mission, and the philosophy, and that's why we want to kind of work there and interested in working there. Then we want to kind of identify the 10 dream peoples in each of those companies that we can speak to. You can reach out to the hiring managers, to the design team, or product team, engineering team, all the way. Because once we have 10 companies and 10 dream people, then this is when we have a Dream 100 list that we can start to outreach to, right? And we can do what I call strategic outreach to reach out to those people that we can start having conversations in a very curious way, in a genuine way, without being pitchy and all, so that we can then eventually convert that into what I call curious conversations, right? This is where we can move to the next page about being visible to those companies. And then we can move on to where we have no proof, you want to show proof and start having curious conversations with them, which is anywhere from a 15, 30 minutes chat. But before we kind of have that chat, we want to make sure that we don't ask for the chat immediately. We want to kind of ask the chat much later down the road. Okay, because once we have those curious conversations, then we can start building those what I call backstage passes. And this tangible asset that you can present to those people that you have spoken to show them that, hey, I hear your challenge, I hear your priorities, and here are some ideas that brainstorm that thing that could help you to get to those dream outcomes. Would it be? I'd love to get some feedback, So that's great. And then from here, because you're showing direct proof to those dream companies that you're applying for, then this is where they get a little more confident in you and they have more courage and more uh, evidence to sponsor you, to champion you, to advocate for you. And then after that, you can create a ripple effect. This asset that you created, you can pass it down and kind of do the same outreach to the competitors of this dream company and start spreading your reach and your value all across as well. Okay, and this is how we present ourselves to be the viable option. The next one is about getting noticed. All right, because you want to kind of get visible, right? And this is where we start posting content online, which is what I call signal stories, sharing your personal stories, sharing your case studies that you have built before, the past projects, and the work that you have done before. Share it all online. You can do it anytime from like 3 to 5 times a week, at least even one time a week would be great as well, because LinkedIn shared that only 1% of people, professionals on LinkedIn on the platform post once a week. So if you just post once a week, you already belong to the 1%. Right? I myself post used to do daily, now it's about 3 to 5 times a week. So this is all in your control and what you can do as well. Then after that, other than that, what I start to notice is what I call B-side quests, right? B-side, because you think of a cassette player. I'm not sure if you're in my generation, millennial. We used to have cassette players or cassette tapes. So A-side is the main track. B-side is like the experimental tracks, the side track, the side things that you do, right? So I call this as like the side projects. So if you're doing web coding, you're playing with AI, you're studying a course, or you're doing anything on the side, share that behind the scenes, share that story as well. That itself is going to be super helpful for getting awareness and getting attention as well, and getting you noticed. And the last one is what I call leader magnet. Leader magnet is basically if what you now you have connected with those people in your dream companies and they have a different industry as well, right? In the dream industry. So what your goal is that, hey, can I do for me to understand and see whether I'm a good fit for this industry and this industry really interests me as well. Can I kind of identify some challenges or do some research in terms of the competitors, the landscape, and all, and then take that research and compile it into a resource that is helpful and valuable and share it with my audience, my community, the people that I've just connected with. And this is where we want to start inviting people, leaders, decision makers to chat with us, to connect with us, right? Through this what I call leader magnet. And this is where you can start having conversation with them. Right? So it's going to be really, really powerful because the end goal here is then doing all that, you present yourself as someone who is valuable. Right? So with the open doors, I want to share a story of my client, Sarah, who got invited to a hidden role without applying online, without asking for a job, because no job opening existed for this role, right? And she was, when she kind of worked together, she had a dream company that she wanted, which is the art and culture industry here in Singapore. And there was not a job opening there, and she went out to reach out to the hiring manager for that company, exchange WhatsApp numbers, connected, and all, and even had a chat with her and kind of realized how this is the challenge that they're facing. She went about doing experience audit of that museum, but she was directing the museum director, and kind of her own experience in sharing and documenting all of that journey and the ideas that she had, the problems that she noticed. And they were very impressed by it. And they even said that, hey, once they went and had the chat, which you can see over here, screenshot, they even said that, hey, you should charge for this because it's so valuable, right? The thing is that, yeah, she didn't really kind of, she landed all the way to the final round interview. And looking at job situation, I think she's only fulfilled maybe 30-40% of it, of what they had in mind, because she's not the kind of ideal fit, but still she made it all the way to the final round and built that trust with the hiring manager. So this is the audit that she did, and that's the deck that she did. But what's more important here is that she still continued to have more conversations with hiring managers in that niche industry that she was looking at, and she also posted this audit onto her website. And one of those hiring managers saw her work on her website and was really intrigued by it and very impressed by it. and also had a chat with her. Even though he wasn't hiring, at that point of time, but it left a strong impression that he also shared with her that, hey, if once I have a role open, 1 or 2 more months, definitely reach out to you. Okay. So she thought, well, nothing of it. Yeah, just keep that connection warm. And a couple of months later, when there was a role open, or I think he was hiring again, he's the number one. She was the number one person that she reached out to, right? And it just took one coffee chat with the creative director and the director, and she got the role offer next day. So things happens like this daily on the back end or in the hidden network, in the hidden job market. And just want kind of you to realize that, hey, you just need to open those doors to get it. Okay, awesome. Next one I share with you is no proof to showing some proof. And one of the ways, one of my clients who have gotten it is Charlene. Charlene went from ghosted for multiple rounds and to the landing of final round interviews by just sending a 5 minutes idea deck to her dream company, even she did not have the required experience as well, right? Because a lot of people will say no to job seekers, but they will say yes to problem solve. So for her, she really had this dream company in industry or in the travel space, and she reached out one of the dream companies, created this deck as well, and this kind of showing here are the key problems I've observed, here are some of the ideas that I think could be helpful. She sent it to the hiring manager. Got really impressed by the work that she did and the ideas that she shared, and invited for a chat, and that supposedly 30 minutes chat landed up to be an hour plus long chat in person, which is really awesome. And then later, about a month later, there was a role open by this hiring manager, and she reached out to the hiring manager about it. He recognized and remembered her, but she stayed top of mind, and invited her to a chat immediately, like within a few days later. And then 1 week later, got into the final round, the final round interview with the hiring manager and his management team. Unfortunately, she didn't get the job. But what I'm going to show you here is that she managed to get all the way down to the final round, even though she did not meet any she did not have the required experience that they're looking for, but she made a strong impression that managed to get her to the final round. It all comes down to, hey, how can we kind of near that interview in the process? But again, at least now she has an asset and shown her proof and gotten much more traction than just applying online blindly, right? Cool. And this is what she said. Before working with me, she was struggling to land interview and she felt stuck. And now she realized the importance of building the right relationship, not just any relationship. And reaching out can really open doors that she never thought was possible. Right. So if you're looking for something like that, maybe I can help you. Right. The last one I want to share for if you have any other questions. If not, I want to run through some of the questions that were submitted privately to me as well. Is first, last one is about getting noticed, right? So I'm going to share with you another client with Sun Tia. Sun Tia, when he worked with me before, he just left his last role and he was kind of burnt out from his career. He's worked quite a while and he was kind of burnt out and he wanted to take a break, but at the same time, he was kind of figuring out what his next steps are. And one of the things that he really desired doing was to share and post, right? Post content online and just kind of get out. Because one of the goals that he had was eventually to maybe start his own company, his own agency, right? But he has had this broad of like posting online because there's so many reasons. So when I kind of coach him and through the different sessions, one of the things that you're sharing is that he knows all the right reasons of why he should post online, but he still didn't post. And when we coach, it came down to this one point for him that really connected, which was and resonated, which was you don't need the quantity of reasons to do something. You just need the quality of that one reason to make the action, to take the action. And for him, is that he didn't want to regret not doing this. And so at the end of the call, at the end of the day, he posted his first Twitter post, X post, and then LinkedIn post, and then the second post that he did, which is this one, went viral, right? It had over 800 plus likes and 72 plus comments and 70 reposts on LinkedIn. I think now it should be a little more, as well as on X. I think it had about 100K, close to 100K impressions on that one kind of posting here. And the interesting thing is that he continued posting this for more and more. And more importantly, as well, now he is working with founders, he's working with people who are asking and require his service. And now he has created his own career, right? Through this niche thing that he really liked, which is awesome. Cool. So this is, in summary, the 3-hour job search system. Being able to open doors, showing the proof, and getting noticed so that it can be visible, valuable, and valuable. So yeah, if you're looking for something like that, I would then invite you to check out. Again, this is the second version of it. So I have the earlier version of this for sure what I'm selling in my Black Friday offer right now. Today's the last day, so I invite you to join. So if you want, you can scan the QR code and go and get access to it. So you can get 90% off today. Just go to careercreators.com/bf25. You can get access to that. Once I have this new version tidy up recorded, I will attach it to the bundle at no extra charge as well. Right. But most of the 90% of the resources and information are all in the 3 hours job search system. Okay. Cool. So what I want to share is that client careers don't grow in silence. They go through conversation, and I want you to have more. So right now, let's have a conversation. Feel free to drop in the comments on your questions in your chat so that I can help you as much as I can. Cool. While you're writing out your questions on the comments or on YouTube, so yeah, I can't. Cool. So let me kind of switch this off and go back to myself. So yes, if you have any questions, you drop it in the comments. Just let me look at LinkedIn. Let me see if I have any questions so far. Cool. So I don't read Hindi, so I would love to answer. But cool. I have one from Bryce. It's about excited how to optimize and make most of search. Yeah. So as I just shared, it's a very totally different approach of job search, which if you are keen, yes, invite you to uh, take take a chance on it. All right, and give it a try. Because if you already tried doing the same thing over and over again, I think it makes sense to try something different to get different results. Okay, cool. No other questions? No worries. I'll get started with sharing some of the questions. Cool. Awesome. No worries. Thanks, Bryce. Great chat reference. Growing and posting consistently makes a few big challenge, but and I wonder where I should start. Yeah, first of all, I think you want Bryce, great question, right? So one of the places where you can get started is just by sharing your own journey into how you came to design, what you're why you're embarking this, why you're still in design, what's excites you about the work and the work that you do. Second, if there's any other case studies that you have done or projects you have done that you can share, kind of break down it, right? Don't think about sharing the entire case study. Share that moment. Because every post and every content you're sharing, what I've learned is that when I try to cram too many messages and takeaways in one message, people start to get lost, especially in today's like TikTok generation and people with much shorter attention span. So it's better to just have one clear message, one clear insight. So what you're trying to look for is to look for that one story, that one moment in that project that you're doing that really hits you. Maybe it's the disagreement that you had with the head of product or your product manager, or is the challenge in the handoff or the handover with your engineering partners, or is it with your fellow designers in the design system and kind of finding consistency and updating it and managing it, or it could be about your research experience with a user and some maybe an interesting insight that you uncovered. All of this become stories that you can share. It's what I call signal stories that you can share. And one is signals to the hiring managers and your network, your audience, your influence, your impact, your value, more so in terms of your thinking and how you approach solving problem. Because then for a hiring manager and for a fellow your future design team members, they can then see, here is how Bryce actually go about those challenges. If I were to work with him, this is how it might look like, right? Which is a very good, because then you start to reduce the risk and you increase the trust. Yeah. So start sharing that. Right? And along the way, as you are doing, side projects, you're learning new code, you just watch a video, you just read a book, just write one message, just share one story. Okay, there's no right, no wrong. Treat it as like a journal. It's just that it's more public facing, and over time, the goal here is to get started, start doing it, start posting it. And then next one, then you start after you post, let's say about 30 to 100 pieces of content. Then the next stage is about thinking about how to start being better, start being good at it. Uh, don't worry about the stats. Don't worry about it. Even for me as a top voice, I get very low reach as well. The nice thing about social media platforms right now, be on YouTube, LinkedIn, IG, Instagram, etc., they are doing a lot more to reward the new creators, folks who have never posted at all as well. And it's I would say a level playing field. So it's no better time for you to get started. It's really a great time. Okay, cool. All right, the first one I want to kind of get to the point is, what is if you've got any other questions, feel free to drop it in as well. All right, cool. So what is the fastest path to interview by Christmas? So I would say first one is to first identify your dream platform. Start figuring out what are the 10 to 30 dream companies that are really like, because most people, when they start your job search, they will start it from seeing any available jobs online on LinkedIn, jobs on Indeed, etc., and just keep posting. The first month maybe you will just start being very selective. Second month, slightly less selective, and third month you just spam to every other job available. That right? I've been there before. But this is where then you start getting this loop of, because most of the more you apply, it's low fit, low not a good fit and all, you get rejected. So you start getting burnout, you're getting depressed, getting anxious, you get all that because you're not getting the response that you want. So why not take back control and first identify the 10 to 30 dream companies that align with you? First do that, then do research into those companies and see whether is it true, right? And the best way to do research is then having what I call strategic outreach, where you want to send out messages to those people working in those companies. Or if you really can't find them, then go to the ex-employees. A best way to kind of do it is to have those conversations, is actually going on to APD lists, amazing design people list, and start booking mentorship calls. And the way to kind of use those mentorship calls is not to just ask for a portfolio review or resume review. That's very low level, kind of low value exchange for the time and wisdom that they have. Better still is to ask about their, because it's a mentorship, right? You want to learn from the person's experience. So ask about their experience and the decisions they've made along the career, like how they went from the last job to this current job, right? Why did they make the move? What made them decide to join this company? What is it about this company that interests them? And what made them continue to stay? And then later, as you start having that, then you start figuring out, hey, what is the current priorities of the company? What you guys focus on for the next 1, 2, 3 years? In terms of those focus areas, what are some challenges that you guys are facing? Cool. In terms of those challenges, on the product side, on the user side, how does that look like? Great. You want to get all those insights and data so that later at the end, you can ask something like, hey, thanks for sharing all those insights. And it gives me a much clearer picture in terms of the industry, more importantly, the company, in terms of the problem that you guys do. You kind of see whether this might be a good fit for me in terms of working. And is it okay if, like, if I have a couple of ideas after this call to share with you, maybe, a couple of days, a few days later with you? Is it to kind of get feedback and just bounce off? In most cases, people say yes, right? And this is where you kind of do what I call next, which is the MVP or the backstage pass, to share useful ideas with them, be it from your own research or be it just any ideas that you kind of thought ahead. Because as a creative person, we naturally have a lot of ideas. Normally, we'll go into a problem-solving mode as well. So why not just translate that into something more tangible for them to share, to bounce off ideas? Because the thing that will happen is that people would reshare it into their team, and now you just went from a candidate of none, because you're one in thousands of people. Now you went to a candidate of one, because now you're the one person that is top of mind, and everyone in the team, including the hiring manager, knows of because of this one thing that you did. Right? And you got the team members speaking of you as well. And I want to kind of leave you as well is that people's response much faster right now in December because people are taking off, they're on holiday mode, they're in like seasons of giving and very happy. So yeah, people slow down. So you want to kind of use this and leverage this time as well. So when others candidates or job seekers are slowing down their search because they're getting burnt out, tired, and all that, you should then flip the script. When everyone's zig, you want to zag and take back control of it and start reaching out to folks. Right? It's going to take you hours, and it's not months to okay. Right. Next one is what exactly is a 3 hour system, right? So I kind of think about it is that you can most people they will just take the whole 3 hours or whatever time they have in the day or in the week to just spray and pray jobs. In some cases, tailor the resumes and portfolios for those roles. So nothing wrong with that, but it's just that you're playing losing battle, right? You're just being one in hundreds of thousands of people. So, and I think what makes it worse right now is that for job boards as well, there's a lot of fake jobs out there who are taking your personal information or getting you to pay, asking you for money. So it's not making it better as well. And some of these jobs, you're just getting ghosted. Or if you do get a response, automated response from the ATS for the company that says you're rejected, in most cases because of a knockout question, you don't fit their insurance requirements of visas or where you live, etc. Nothing about it. Everyone, resumes, all the recruiters and the hiring managers and all that are still reviewing the resumes and the profiles. It's just that if you don't hit those knockout, you hit. But what I'm trying to get at is like it's a losing war here. It doesn't matter. Instead, what you should be doing is then spending the time more productively to getting clarity in terms of what is the dream company, what's the companies that aligns with you, and the people in there, having conversations with them, start building the trust, because you don't even know what they are looking for, right? And the best way to kind of figure out, like a user researcher, is to interview those people and ask, understand that, so that you can then formulate um, solutions or materials that helps to validate, help them to feel like you are the trusted person for them, right? And then next one is to have that 1 hour conversations with these people and then have a simple pitch that showcase your value. The nice thing is that with the 3 hour job search system that I have for each of the phases or each of the workshops that I have out or pre-recorded, I have a custom GPT built to deliver the results much faster. Right. So what used to take my clients, crafting a message could take a few minutes, but some folks because they procrastinate and they delay and they just feel so many imposter syndrome to it that they avoid doing it. And sometimes it drags on to days, weeks, or months even, right? Which is not. And that's why I can build this custom GPT to make it much easier and more human for you to connect with somebody, right? As a first draft so that you can edit and adjust it after. Or even creating a deck. Right? You want to kind of share with people with some ideas, right? What could take folks maybe a day, 2 or 3, more sometimes a week. Now you can do it in 1 or 2 hours with well-researched data back slides, doc, information, content that you can share. And again, customize it. Again, it's all first draft. You can customize it to suit your own voice and suit your own, kind of better portray your ideas and all. All of that is designed to make you to get you faster, better results in a shorter amount of time. Okay. And then the goal here then is to repeat this process on a weekly basis. So ultimately, at the end of the day, you become someone who is trusted and top of mind. All right. Cool. And if you have any questions, please keep coming in. All right. So the next one is that, hey, if I've been applying online, then why am I not getting any interviews? I think that's a common thing because that's how most folks are. And that's what we learn from mentors, our lecturers, folks that we've seen online. And what I want to share with you is that, hey, it's not a skill problem. It is a visibility problem right here. Okay. It's a visibility problem where you are not getting seen. The front door is filled and just playing with the different thing. Cool. Yeah, the front door is flooded and you have just competing with hundreds of people, as I shared. So the back door itself has almost no traffic. So what you want to do is then figure out a way, path for us to get to the back door. Right? Cool. All right. Next one is, hey, I don't know what my next role should be. And it's quite a common challenge that most people face as well, because you get the lack of clarity in terms of what is that. Times you hesitate in deciding what to move, and then you still feel like you're getting low momentum. I think in most cases as well, most folks, when they kind of figure out their next role, is putting in the hands of the market. or the company itself or whatever opportunity is presented to them, and then that would be my next move. Which then, when you kind of think about it, is like letting someone else be the driver of your car, your vehicle. Unless it's a taxi driver, you fully trust that, and it's like, but then still, you have your own life, your own career, your life stages as you have a family, get married, and all that changes, right? And everything kind of is very customized to you. So why not take back the control of that wheel so that you can drive and to the journey and the destination that you want to. So first one is really getting clarity. And I have this three-part kind of filter or questions to kind of ask, which is number one, what energizes you, right? What excites you about the work that you do? The second one is uh, where have you found to done your best work? What type of environment, what type of company, what type of people, um, yeah, and kind of what type of projects, what type of users, what type of customers. You want to kind of figure that out as well. And last one, what type of problems do you care about? Right? What type of problems do you really, really care about deep down in it? When you really want to connect with that, because every one of us have different problems in our life. We all have problems that we're excited by and not excited by. For me, for example, I'm very excited by education and helping folks to learn, right, and be creative. That's why I became a lecturer and going to that. Or when I joined the bank or DBS or income, the problem that I was very excited by is about financial literacy, about helping folks to do better with their finances, right? And this is kind of like one of the reasons why I joined the bank or the insurance company, or when I joined Ateka, or my last role, because I'm excited about understanding how recruiters work, how recruiters think, how recruiters source, and especially how they use our tools so they can make the experience much better for them so that it translates down to the job seekers as well. So all of this, and the reason why I do the work that I do now, so helping folks try and find the next role, is because I've been through that. And every path, every career that I make is so that I can have greater experience, exposure to the different type of industry, from my own startup, joining agency, joining a design company, a startup, organization, a government. I've experienced all of that across different sectors as well, so that I can better coach and serve my um, clients and my students as well. So very intentional about that. So I think first of all is kind of get clear on that so that you have a better idea of what you're looking for. Because once you know the direction, then the outreach for you becomes easy because you can start identifying what are some companies that are already working on those so that you can then start targeting your questions and your connections and find those people in those places. All right. Cool. Right. Next one. So then next follow-up question said, how do I find companies that align with me? And what I use is something called the 777 exercise, or what I call the jackpot formula, which basically stands for the 7 personal problems that you face, 7 personal passions that you have, and 7 professional pains that you experience in your career. Because each of those topics, right, or things and points that you bring out are things that a company, industry, a brand, a startup, entrepreneur, founder is working on, is solving, right? So again, like I said, uh, you problem with it is like you don't know how to save, you don't know how to invest. It tells you like the financial literacy. It tells there are a lot of fintech companies, banks, companies, and all that are solving this practically, right? So working for them because you've already done your research and you trying to improve your own literacy, you're already building some sort of subject matter expertise so you can apply. It'll be a very good fit for those companies as well. Because at the end of the day, the hiring manager will be asking this one simple question: why us? Why this company? There's so many companies, thousands, millions of companies around the world. Why us? Right? If the response that you give back is because, hey, I'm looking for a job, good culture, good product, good team, and like very generic copy and paste answers that can be applied to any other company in any other role, then it doesn't sound compelling enough, right? It doesn't feel truthful as well, enough, authentic and genuine enough. So really what you want to do is then dig down into the personal story, right? Personal reason why. And a 777 exercise allows you to highlight that because you're proactively outlining all the different areas of problems, passions, or pains that you went through, and then you can articulate that out as well. Because once that you done, you can find the 10 to 30 companies that solve those problems or those areas, and this then flips the script of you randomly hunting on the job boards to now being very international and high signal with your job search. Right. Cool. Cool. I got a question from Brittany. But this time next year, I'll be going out into the world. I'll be going out the world as a UX and UI designer. Cool. Are you currently studying, Brittany? And that's why you're asking that question. Yeah. If even if you are a new designer as well, and this is you just graduated or you're going to be graduated soon, this is something that you still can do. And this is something that as a university lecturer or when I was teaching, I'm still proudly advocating my students to do. And honestly, I also been teaching this in the class modules. So for them to kind of identify their dream companies, have conversation with people so that they can frame it as research, so that you can do something to showcase to those companies as a project piece that you can do. So still can do. Even more so as a student, you have a lot more reasons for people are a bit more giving to students to help you to succeed. So much better. Good job. Okay, awesome, cool. So the next one that folks will be asked is, hey, does my portfolio matter anymore? Right? Um, I would say yes to a certain extent. It still matters because it showcases to hiring managers and the team that of your, you know, how you kind of handle various projects and how you handle different situations and how you deliver, how you ship. More importantly, is like the decision that you made, the impact that you contributed, right? And why, in all those like risks, assumptions, constraints that you had to work around with. So those are all great, right? But one of the key things is that is and the challenge that most of my clients can't face is that hey, the next company I want to apply for is not relevant to the type of work that I've done, right? Because the work that I've done before, the career that I've crafted has all been guided or been presented to me. It's not something I've chosen or something I've created. So this is where then and because of that, you don't get invited in because it's not relevant. And this is where what you want to do is you want to create proof of work that really is relevant for the company, that the dream company that you want to apply for. And when I talk about dream company, it's not necessarily bank companies, not the big tech companies, like Google, Amazon's, Facebook, Meta, uh, whatever big tech companies you can think of, Netflix, etc. They could be, but it's not necessarily that. It's more so in terms of the company that is right for you. So if in order for you to go and apply for those companies, you need to then first showcase your proof of thought versus your proof of polish. Craft does matter, but with design systems and AI kind of taking over those, the value of the craft, unless you have super high craft in your view, like great design sense, which is all you can sensibility and all, which is what you can build over time. Do it takes time to kind of build it up. I would say it's simple, unless you're a nerd like me. I kind of build it up is just looking through reference books and library books of designs and good designs and kind of practicing it and understanding it, analyzing it, studying it, critiquing it all the way, right? Throughout my whole design career. But I think more importantly is then you want to kind of show proof of thought. And this is where something like a backstage pass will get you a lot more leverage, a lot more distance, a lot more volume, more weight in your job search versus a portfolio, right? And it's not a common advice, and that's why it's always a challenge, kind of like getting people to see the other side. But the thing that I have is that it's worked for myself, it's worked for many of my clients as well. So yeah, choose. Yeah, it's up to you to choose if you like to. Okay. If you have any questions again, feel free to put it down in the chat anytime so I can answer. Just going through a list of pre-submitted questions so that I can fill in the time, but also give you value in the midst of it as well. All right, cool. So next question is, hey, should I still customize my resume for every job application? I think it's a very common question, right? Because you get a lot of advice from folks that, hey, especially resume writers, more so because they want to promote their service, right? But also, it feels like, hey, the advice like that is I need to customize it so that I can showcase my relevant experience, which I say is yes. But you don't have to customize the entire resume. And I think people over-index on customizing the entire resume, every bullet point, every single thing. If you want to customize, yes, you just customize the top of it, the summary, because most recruiters, hiring managers only spend about 7 seconds scanning the resume for signals and like of fit, right? Whether you have a good fit for the role that I'm looking for, right? In the head. So in order that they're not going to read through every single bullet point that you have as well, right? Be it is a 1 pager, 2 pager, 3 pager, doesn't really matter. The length doesn't matter. But more so is how I kind of think about it is it's like a website, right? You just want to design the above the fold experience. You don't expect a user and customer to just read through every single fine print of that website. You're just kind of looking above the fold. So above the fold of a resume is just summary, be it the career achievements, the career accomplishment, or just a quick summary about you in terms of why you could fit. So you kind of do that, 3 to 5 bullet points, and showcase to the hiring manager so that, hey, I'm just reading just bullet points. I do recognize that fit. That's you're showing me the right signals. Cool. I invest a little more time to review the rest of the resume. So that's where it kind of really takes. But again, a lot of folks just spend too much time on this, where it is helpful, but not the most helpful in terms of like it gives you, in terms of return on your investment. Doing work like that, I would still call it a little of a low value task, low value because it's not giving you the most. But where that really gives you the maximum value is where you start reaching out to people in different companies and having conversation with them, then showing them proof of why you might be a good fit and some of the ideas that you might have. So that once you kind of go into that state, you will start to notice that actually you're already kind of reverse engineering the interview process if you can't really see the full picture because you're having those conversations with team members, hiring managers, and folks, which is really like interview process, traditional interview. It's just that now you're crafting and curating the experience for yourself, right? Taking the power. Cool. All right. So next one is, hey, how do I talk about my work in a more powerful way? So this comes back to storytelling, right? And I teach this thing called PAW and also the ABT frame. So it's to be used in combination as well. So PAW stands for problem, epiphany, action, results, learning. Very simple. Explain the problem that is on hand and what's the challenge or problem you're solving. Share the epiphany, which is the research, the insight the aha moment, the moment that you have observed or you have found out in your research that led to that design change, right? That you'll be kind of making a change or making a design improvement. This is where that falls down into action in terms of the design that you did. And then what is the result of that, impact of it, and what do you learn from it, right? But the key here is that if you just kind of go through that, it sounds pretty straightforward and bland and boring, right? And that's not how a story typically flows. A story has a lot more ups and downs, like a roller coaster ride, right? Because if it's a roller coaster that is just flat, it's gonna be very boring. And no one's gonna pay on it, no one's gonna queue up for it. So this is where you're gonna do the loops, the twirls, the spins, and all the ups and downs, right? And this is where we introduce the APT frame, right? APT stands for and but therefore, and but therefore. And I learned this from the creators of South Park. So South Park is a American comedy TV cartoon show, yeah, which I love. And the creators of them, when they kind of create the story, they always kind of put an and but therefore kind of frame to it, which basically makes the story a little more dynamic. So between the problem, we're going to do an and but therefore, epiphany, and but therefore, action, and but therefore, results, and but therefore, learning, and but therefore. So it kind of looks like, hey, there is this problem in the company, and there's something else that is a challenge. Great. But this was the bigger thing, or this was the obstacle, or this was the thing that was blocking us. Therefore, we need to do this. So once we go into the learning, the research, and we found this, we set it up this, blah, blah, blah. But one of the insights that we record our attention was this. Therefore, we let us learn how to do this. Blah, blah, blah. Right? And then you can kind of go through this because there's none of the sort of sequence, some sort of rhythm that goes into your story. So what I kind of realized of this is that when people try to share, they try to share too much, right? When you kind of go through this frame, I think the goal here is then to pick one of the multiple insights or things that you did to kind of tell us the clear story. Because when you try to fit in too much messages, in too much takeaways into one, it becomes very unclear. So the goal here now is to make your story clear, human, and memorable, which is just that one key takeaway that you want folks to remember of. Okay. Cool. If you got any questions, feel free to drop it in. All right. If not, scan the QR code and you can get access to the Black Friday offer. All right. Any other questions? No, no worries. Cool. So the next other one that folks might have is, and ask me as well is, hey, Joseph, how do I reach out without feeling like I'm boring people? Because I think that's a very common challenge that people face. Especially designers when we are more empathetic and we care a lot about people and we do not want to disturb people, right? We don't want to disturb folks. And this is where we want to kind of play a more human role in it, and we do not want to disturb things. Cool. Just flip up my slides. Cool. So I think there's two key rules here that I will kind of embody, which is number one, be curious. Be curious. Don't try to this because most of the time when people kind of send a connection request or send information, they do it in a way that is very salesy, right? Very pushy. So what I mean by that is that they ask for something like, can you review my portfolio? Can you review my resume? Can you refer me a job? Can I get a 30 minutes chat right off the bat, the first message, right? And people just get very turned off by it because it's too much of an ask, right? It's too much of an effort for them to reply back and do it. Because I've experienced that before. I have replied back to messages like that. Sometimes even like spending 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, sometimes even 30 plus minutes recording a Loom video and sharing feedback. But sometimes after sending that feedback or that response, I get ghosted. I get thank you or a single word, single sentence of thank you, and that's it. There's no action taken. There's no further kind of conversations happening. So it feels afterward a little empty on this side, right? On my side. And because you can think about it, the time of value exchange is very imbalanced. You took maybe a few seconds copy and pasting that message to many, many people, and I took 20, 10, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes to reply, and all I get back is a few seconds of response. It's like, no, doesn't feel right, right? And that's why what I want to kind of get back is how can we then make it easier? Is by first, being curious about the person, because people like talking about themselves. So be curious about it and then be kind, right? Because you don't want to beg, you just want to be a human and ask them about your human experience. So it's like imagine yourself as a user researcher. If you're interviewing a new user or customer, like how will you approach that? You'd be always starting with a very curious stage about finding more about the person in terms of the day-to-day ritual, how the flows, in terms of like what they're doing, what's the challenges, problems, that's like all of that. So when we're here, we're kind of do something similar, where we want to say that, hey, I'm exploring this, making this move into this industry, this career. Notice that you have done something similar before. Would love to know how you can approach it, how you make the shift. Or I've noticed that, hey, you went from from your last company to this current company. I was from a similar type of background as well, like you, just curious about how you made that shift, how you made that move. Was it this? Or was it that? Make it very simple for them to respond. Because people love being helpful when you respect their time. I think that's the key of it. So I want to kind of invite you to really consider. And it doesn't take too much time, honestly, when you kind of start getting the hang of it. Obviously, we have the 3 hour job search system that I have. It's going to make it super simple for you. Again, 90% offer ends now. Just get it over here at careercreators.com/bf25 or scan the QR code. You can get it there. And it's going to be super easy for you to craft a message like that. Right? It's going to pays you dividends in the long run. Cool. All right. Next one is how do I get referrals if I don't have a big network? Right? Because I think every one of us start from zero. Let's be honest. I myself as well have started from zero. I don't have a lot of network. So the goal is about, hey, how can I start building tiny bridges to where I'm at on this island in the middle of the ocean and connect to the next island? right? Connect the next place, connect the next, right? It's either building a bridge or write a book to that. But what that means is that having a message, sending a message, sending a conversation at a time, one relationship built at a time. Because in the day, like I said, hiring managers, when we kind of think about hiring, is really down to trust and reducing our risk. So the less risk that's presented, the more trust is being built. So a new person that is a total stranger, high risk, low trust, right? So how can we start to kind of tip the scale and kind of shift that balance as well? And typically it's coming from people that the hiring manager has trusted and they will recommend. So these are their own network or the immediate team, right? That's like what I shared earlier. In terms of the high intake pyramid, this is where we're kind of tackle through the back door, through the internal team, and through the external referrals, which is the network of the hiring manager. Because what we're trying to do is going to build trust here, getting referrals, not chasing favors here. Cool. Next one is, what do I even say in my first message? Right. So this is what I shared earlier. So it's all about having one sentence of context. So how I kind of think about it is, I like to use the analogy of a fishing spear. Right? You want to catch fish, right? You either can choose a fishing line or a fishing net or a spearfish, right? So most people, they will throw a big net. They throw a big net out. It's like spray and pray, the same message, and spam it to many, many people. And if you're trading to the wrong location, throw it in a way that it's not catching well, it's not going to get back any returns or any fishes. The next one is that you throw a fishing line with a bait, right? And praying and hoping that, one person, will bite, it will nibble and get the reply back. But sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. But what I prefer doing is instead of all of that, to go out and dive down the ocean, see a fish, attack it with a spear, and then get it. So I see it, I take it, I get it, I get a response. And that kind of brings me to my spear framework, which is about being specific about the person that you're reaching out to in terms of why you're reaching out, right? So is there a specific compliment, a specific post, a specific project, a specific career change? What are you kind of referring to? Second, personalized. Personalized to that person, looking at their career history, their profile, their background, and kind of highlight something that is personalized to them. E is enlightening. Enlightening. Share something that is for you. Is it the way something about the message or insight they share in the post, or is it their career, or is it about something about their profile and share it, or is it a project they've shared in their portfolio, share it as well. A is the ask, right? So always make an ask in terms of what you're looking out from them. And what I try to do in plan is about making a small ask, don't make a big ask, right? Because asking for someone's time in the first message, it's too much. It's like going up to a stranger on the networking and then say, hey, can I have 1 hour of your time? Or if I can't pay it in more relationship, it is like the first day you ask for a person and in marriage. That is like too fast. So you're trying to break it down into a smaller ask as well. Okay. The other one is then give them a reason to reply. So what is that reason for them to reply? Usually people reply if you come from a common background or a shared experience or shared background, right? So if you're looking to make a move, sure. If you come from a similar background, you're trying to make a similar move like that, great. Now it's like there's a reason why they can reply. Okay. So you're kind of thinking about it in the spear framework, so that it's a lot easier for you to answer. All right, next one. Cool. Next question is, so I've got 15 minutes more. So if you have any other questions, feel free to drop into the chat. Need to answer. All right. So the next one is, I got interviews. I get interviews, but no offer. What am I doing wrong? Again, very common. So what happens here is that a lot of folks are, sharing and kind of just talking through the project in a very chronological order. But they are kind of doing it in a way that is not showcasing they're showing the work, they're showing the visual work, the design work, and all, the craft, which is not wrong, it's great. But honestly, when I, as a hiring manager, has reviewed when I reviewed the portfolio, I really kind of went through that already. I already kind of made an assessment that you have certain good quality of craft and you have in terms of your skill sets and all, it's a good fit. The task you're better in the interview. What I'm trying to figure out now is, hey, in terms of your thinking, Are you a good fit in terms of a mindset basis, in terms of a cultural fit basis, right? And let's see how you make the decisions. And sometimes, yes, in the portfolio, I can see that, but I also want to hear you articulate it and communicate it as well. Because if you can do that, much better, much easier. Because then I can start asking you more nuanced questions about, what was that context, how you made the decision, what was the constraints, the risks, the assumptions they had made, how you validate it. Like I can ask a lot more about that. So how I like to think about it is first present clarity, intent, and trade-off, right? So clarity of the thinking, right? Am I showing you a very clear thinking and logical steps so that it's easy for folks to follow? Intent is that am I clear in terms of why we're doing this, right? The decision that is made. Why? Is it backed by data? Is it by research? Or is it just like a hunch feel? Or is it because my CEO or my product manager told me to do this and I just did it? Trade-off, because I did this, something else must have to give. Like, what was that trade-off you and your team had to make? Because if you can showcase like how you have reduced the risk for them, it's going to make it a lot easier for them to think. And because when I kind of hire folks in, is I want to be in a safe space and make a good hiring decision that hey, if I bring candidate A in, designer A in, if I give him or her a project to do, they're able to run with it, right? At least do the best part because that's why I hire. I hire lives to get problem solved. I hire employees to get problem solved, right? So yeah, and that's why I kind of look at it. But in most cases, people are just showcasing their well, not showcasing their thinking and showing them that they're a good fit for the role. All right, next one. We'll do a couple more questions and be good. All right. All right. Next one is how do I stand out in take-home challenges? I think most of the cases is that people they I'll go back. They over design because I'm guilty of it when I kind of do take-home challenges or whiteboard challenges as well. I especially for whiteboard I tend to over do the front part and kind of messed it up and not showcase clearly the thinking again and showing all the different considerations that I made, the assumptions I'm making, the constraints that I'm considering and all that. It's not very clear. And thus for the hiring manager, they will start to get confused in terms of hey, what is Joseph talking about? Right? They start to get lost in that whole picture. So especially if you kind of look at senior level hiring, right? Especially because you're having given more responsibility for the role in terms of the problem you're solving, in terms of the people that you're managing, and all that. We are just again looking at how can you reduce the risk for us? How can you help to solve the problems that we have, right? Not just like through screens and UIs. That's where junior mid-level, maybe AI now can do it, right? Much better, faster as well. So when it comes down to it, now it's human decisions. How have you made those decisions, right? So what we're going to do is then showcase that thinking in a very clear, logical step. So most people, when they kind of do it, they just focus on the UI, the solution, which is not the solution that they're looking for. It's more the thinking, the process, the journey, rather than the destination. So we're going to kind of walk through folks step by step in terms of your thinking, the consideration you made, even if you are looking to reduce and say, hey, for this entire flow, for this problem, there's so many different options to go. I'm able to go through all because of the restriction or limitation of time and task. I'm just going with picking this one to go down with, right? Due to the constraint of time. Perfectly fine. No one's going to fault you for that. Okay, cool. All right. Next one is should I negotiate when I finally get an offer? Yes. Answer is yes. All right. So definitely negotiate. Sure. So yes, definitely negotiate, but I always do it in a very respectful way. First one, you just need to express gratitude that hey, thank you for an offer because people did make you an offer, right? So you're gonna thank them, right? Regardless of whether it's a good offer or is it a low offer, or yeah, you still want to say thank you, right? So most people kind of forget about that and just go straight into the negotiation. So you want to kind of make people feel like they have done something good. So you just need to negotiate and just say thanks for the offer. And after that, if it's not what you're looking for, cool. And ask if there's flexibility in the scope of the work. How did you come to the number? In terms of the leveraging of the role, what is it? Ideally, all some of these questions you should be asking before when they present an offer, so that prevent this back and forth. But in terms of what level is the role, in terms of this, what's the range, clear range for this role, for this level, and in terms of the title, the scope, there's flexibility in that. There's a compensation beyond just the base. Uh, how about the bonus structure? How is the compensation structured? Um, ask for that. And in terms of relocation, if there's a relocation, is it fit in? Because a compensation, you don't just look at the base salary, and that's where most people make the mistake. You kind of look at the entire package and see whether it is something that to your needs, your lifestyle needs, your life stage right now. Right? And I think the key shift here is also thinking about, hey, you're not demanding a high offer from them, but you're just aligning with them. You're trying to make it a win-win situation for both sides, where you are making sure that, hey, uh, I understand that times are tough, budget's constrained, whatever like reasons they can't do it. Uh, at the same time, I also based on the industry research or in terms of the market salary reports and all that, typically for this role is around there. We have flexibility in pushing up because of the value that I offer, and I really articulate the value that I've previously done at my previous roles and all that. Just kind of reduce the risk of them, make sure that the decision that you're making is not a risky one. So you can trust me and I can do the job for you, right? If not, if like it's really really tight, then I would look at saying, hey, is there an optionality for accelerated job review, performance review cycle? Right? Instead of a year, then I look at something that's 1 year. So that is something that we can look into. If I do an exceptional job, and we can enroll in the matrix and the KPI. If I did that, can we have revisit this compensation discussion altogether again? So that's how I kind of think about it. There's a lot more flexibility when you kind of think about your salary negotiation. All right, cool. Cool, awesome. I have this question from Bryce. The more I walk through case studies, the more I'm fascinated by research, putting myself in the user's shoes and picking up potential problems. I wonder, on the other hand, if there are certain things that should be mentioned in interview or emphasizing a little more throughout my portfolios. I know the folks are seniors, but I don't share things. Yeah, great question. So it all comes down to, so no matter if you're a junior, let me say, in certain things, mentioned like process effect math. So really less on frameworks and methods, not super interested in that. Even for junior level, mid level, it's the same. Like even for, so I think one of the kind of you want to kind of get out is if you're a junior level, there's nothing stopping you from presenting yourself as a senior level, right? Because it's just a title, right? Years of experience is just an indicator. It's not a fixed rule that you have to have this certain years of experience that you can get. It's just an indicator. If you're a junior level, that you're able to perform at a senior, you are a senior. That's it, right? So it's all about communication and framing it. So I think that's number one. Number two is in terms of things that you want to show, is that you want to start thinking about the decision you make. Ideally, it's a real client project that has real constraints and real setbacks, budget constraints, scope constraints, technology constraints, stakeholders, like all that you want to kind of embed. The key thing is how do you kind of manage that and walk through it. So how I can think about it is either you can use the PERL framework of problem, epiphany, action, results, learning. Can't go through this, but in each of it, you're going to use the and but therefore to kind of walk people through a story. And each of the but will be the challenge or the constraint that came about the task. Therefore, this is how you tackle it. So you want to kind of think about that in terms of sharing. And the key thing here is for what I want to kind of the exercise I kind of do is if you write through your entire case study, just focus on the headlines and what I call storytelling headlines. If the hiring manager, when you kind of review it, your case study, at a quick glance, maybe it's only about 20 seconds, 30 seconds that we are reviewing and skimming through it. So we are just looking for the headlines, or at least the key bold parts that you're looking at. Now, some sort of visuals, we can make a quick decision on it. but more so in terms of like the story. Are you clear in communicating? So one key part is the headlines. So the headlines shouldn't be just research, design, uh, brainstorming, what or like insights or things. No, those are like too high level. We want to kind of break it that what storytelling headlines, where that one story, one headline shares that one message of what you did in the portfolio. And if I just read through the headlines, do I can I get a sense of the value and the impact and the work that you've done? If the answer is yes, great. Then from there, you start crafting up the body copy and then start putting in the visuals to just support that. That's it, right? You don't kind of overthink it, right? Because in the case study, kind of when you kind of before the interview process, for example, you're just kind of looking for signals. And if there's an interesting kind of project that you tackle and download this constraint, great. Then the goal here is to spark a curiosity for me to and convert me to shortlisting you for interview. And once you go into interview, this is where I can ask a lot more deeper questions to get a better sense of how you think. And that's why, yeah, the same for a resume and same for a portfolio as well. So certain things, I would say it's more focused on the decisions that you made and why you have made it and the impact that you have created. And if you can't have it, maybe it's like the lack of access to data. Oh, then if there was access to data, how would you have done it? What would you have measured? What would you have tracked? And what have you suggested to the team in the management or the product manager to do? Right. But all of that you can unpack and then share. That would be much more clearer. The craft and all that is that, but the visuals that you created is that. So yeah, all the others is like very common portfolio advice, which is all true, like doing call outs and showing everything. But I would say the more important part is like this is what you want to kind of highlight, especially the challenge that you go through. Because that really differentiate a junior level project to a senior level project, and from a big university project to a real life life work. It's where the constraint comes in and how you tackle it. And how do you still, despite all that, deliver an outcome for the product, for the company, for the business, and shape, and for the users, right? Cool. All right. Is that a great question? Yeah. Common question as well. So good, thanks for asking. Cool. All right. Dun, dun, dun. Okay, last one. Before we call it off for today's live stream. Thank you so much for joining on the spot, right? Sweet. So no worries, Bryce. Thanks for your question. Cool. Social advice. Awesome. Cool. So next one is I feel miserable. So how do I stay motivated? Especially in this job search, right? It can feel very depressing as well. So how do you stay motivated? What I want to share is that hey, feeling invisible doesn't mean that you are not worthy or not good. It's just that the bigger system here that has been established, the way that hiring works and the entire from the sub search, the posting jobs online, and all that is broken. It's just not designed for people and humans, and especially folks like us to kind of showcase our value. So the key then is then how can we step out of that system and create our own system that allows us to distribute our impact, our value, our story much better. And this is where I invite you to explore the backdoor hiring approach to get referrals, get the get your way in through the back door, right? And you can do that through connecting with the people and the companies that you want to work for, ask them genuine, curious questions about the career, asking about the challenges that they face in those companies and the priorities of those companies so that you can show them some ideas and things that how you can tackle that. I know less in previous work, but doing previous work as well is okay. But showing them like, hey, there are some ideas that to explore, to have chat about and discuss, and then showing through your content as well in terms of sharing your story, because all of these tiny consistent actions through this high impact work and task is going to beat out spray and pray of job applications online in a day. Okay, because you can employ AI to go and do that for you to spray and pray, but again, it may lend you a job that you may not like. So why go through and waste through all that time? Let's just flip that thinking and that process in his head and start with clarity and stuff. Right? Because when you kind of do that, you want to be spending like 30 hours a week on your job search, you just be spending 3 hours a week. And that itself can really change the way that you look at your job search process. All right, cool. So, any other final words or any other comments? If not, I would love to thank you for joining in. Be it you have stayed throughout all the way. If you are, great, awesome, thank you. This is my first LinkedIn Live. I'll host more if it's valuable. And keep your questions coming in as well. Okay, and if you stayed halfway, no worries. Watch the replay. Hopefully, it'll be some valuable for you as well. I'm ready for you. Okay. All right. With that, thanks everyone, and I'll see you to the next one. Bye. Oh yes, and scan the QR code. The last Black Friday ends in a few hours, so remember to grab it. Okay, awesome. All right, see you guys. Bye.